Shiur 1 is a mistake. It's actually Shiur number 4, but I apologize. And we're going to do a very quick recap. We're not going to go through the whole Tosus, but just some things we're going to need. Okay, so we have Machlokas, Rabbanan, and Rabbi Yehuda when the last time to daven mincha is. According to Rabbanan, you can daven mincha all the way till nightfall. According to Rabbi Yehuda, until plag. Okay, so basically the calendar looks like this. I did it on a timeline here because I think it's easier to conceptualize. Here's Chatzos, a half hour after Chatzos, 6.5 hours into the day is the earliest time to daven mincha. Let me switch this computer over here. And this is called mincha gedola. And the carbon tamid shel ben arbayim could be brought from 6.5 hours onwards. Now, the question is, when is the last time to daven mincha? So, according to the Rabbanan, last time tzilas mincha is out of erev, meaning the carbon tamid shel ben arbayim was never brought before 9.5 hours. Again, because it was the last carbon of the day, and they want to leave time for the carbon yachis to be brought. So it was never brought before 9.5 hours. So even though you could daven as early as 6.5 hours, the right time to daven mincha really is from mincha ketana, says the Chachamim, all the way till nightfall, till mincha erev. That's according to Rabbanan. And according to Rabbi, that's the Rabbanan. Very nice. Okay, says Rabbi Yehuda, no, zman mincha is out of plag. Take this mincha ketana, split it in half, 10.75 hours. That's the last time to daven mincha. Mincha ketana in half, plag mincha, says Rabbi Yehuda, there's the last time to daven mincha. Okay, now Tosas asks the kasha, how do we daven early, and what do we do with Shema? The main Shema is in Maariv. So Tosas answers, we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, meaning not only does Rabbi Yehuda hold that mincha stops over here, he holds over here Maariv can begin over here as well. You can start down in Maariv. Not only does he hold you start down in Maariv, you can even reach Shema here. Even allowed to say Shema, and that's why Tosas says that's the answer to how we say we daven early, and you don't say Kriya Shema early because we pass like Rabbi Yehuda. Then Tosas asks kasha, that's a problem because the many times that we actually daven Maariv then, and sometimes we daven Mincha then. Meaning, his kasha was how we daven Maariv this early before Tzeis. The answer is because we pass like Rabbi Yehuda. But if you pass like Rabbi Yehuda, how do you explain that sometimes we daven Mincha during this plag time, which is like the Rabbanan? That's Tarti the Sasri. All right, that's just enough Tosas for us to get moving.
Is that the Rabbi Tam asking on himself, or that's another Baltus is asking?
No, Rabbi Tam asking himself.
What's Tarti the Sasri mean again?
Two opinions that are contradictory. Meaning, if we paskin, his answer was we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. So if we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, night ends, the day ends up right over here. So we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. I understand why we could daven Maariv over here, but sometimes we daven Mincha during this time period. How do you explain that? The answer is because we paskin like the Rabbanan. Wait a minute, that's a contradiction. If you're paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, how do you sometimes paskin like the Rabbanan? Make up my mind. That's a contradiction. You can't paskin. You can't burn the candle from both ends. All right.
Rabbi, one quick question. If we paskin like Rabbanan, does that mean you cannot daven Maariv before it says?
Correct. Yes. Okay. Because the only reason why you can only daven Maariv once it's night. Now, if you hold according to the Rabbanan, it's not night until Tzeis.
Right.
You can't daven Maariv. It's too early.
Just confirming that.
Yep. All right. So we're going to start the Kilas Yaakov. I'm sure you guys went through a good part of it, I hope. But let's. But before we actually begin the Kilas Yaakov, we have a little introduction because this is a little bit tricky. The Kilas Yaakov. So the introduction, there are two classic examples of a suffix in din. One is what we call Shnei Shvilim, two roads. So here's basically the background information. The halacha is suffix tuma b'reshus harabim seikotar. If you have a suffix of something was tummy, and that place where you have a suffix where this tummy was b'reshus harabim, the rule is suffix tuma b'reshus harabim seikotar. Suffix tuma b'reshus hayachid. If you had a shaila, and it was, let's say you masupik whether you touch something. If you masupik whether you touch something in reshus hayachid, then it's seiko tummy. But if what you touched was in reshus harabim, and your masupik suffix tumma b'reshus harabim is tahor. Anyone know why? I hope not, because it's exeris hakasav. That was facetious. It's it's just a halacha. That's the way it is. It's exeris hakasav. There is a reason why, but I don't think we know it. Okay, now Mishnah Torah says following: Shnei shvilin echad tamei ve'echad tahor. And there were two roads. one was tamei and one was tar. Okay, so here's the situation: two roads, and under one of the roads was a skeleton, a body was buried. Now the problem is I don't know whether it's the left road or the right road. So I know for sure one of these roads has a body under it, and if you walk over it, you'll be tamei. But I don't know if it's this road or that road. Okay, now, since we don't know what road it is, so if one person went on one and then did something taros, so basically the story is like this. On Tuesday, Reuven walked on the first road, right? Then on Wednesday, Shimon walked on the second road. Now, one thing for sure, we know one of these roads has tumah, and for sure one of these guys is tamei, right? Yet the halacha is that Rabbi Yehuda initial Zevnei, if each one asks separately, if Reuven comes into Bezdin and says, I walked on a road and I touched things that are kachim, what's halacha? Tar, Savik Timur Shazram Tar. Next day, in walks Shimon with the same shaila, and we say to him also, tar, it can't be both psukim or stira, because one of those guys for sure is tamei, so you can't tell me that both of them are tahor, yet the halacha is you're allowed to. If they both come together to ask, then that's too much of a contradiction and the tamei. All right, so basically anything that either Reuven or Shimon touch remains tar if they ask separately. I mean, Reuven comes in and we say everything he touches tar. Shimon comes in the next day, we say everything he touches tar. Now, if Reuven and Shimon come to Bezdin to ask together, then everything they touch is tamei. All right, so that's the case of Shnei Shvilin. So far, so good?
We supposed to understand that?
After we're done the Kilush Yaakov, we will. Yes.
Why is Shimon get a sack of tahor if they already gave Reuven tahor? We're still stuck, like they can't both be tahor, right?
Right. So
you used up your tahor.
Okay, so who knows the answer to that question?
Sure, judged on their own.
Because they could have messed up the first time. Still suffix.
It's still a suffix. All right, so we're going to read the Kilush Yaakov is going to explain to us exactly why this is true. He's going to explain to us exactly. Hillel's on to something really correct. And I think you're on the right track.
Really?
Yeah, really. Yeah. Yes. But okay, but let's circle that for a minute. So this is case number one. This is what's known as a case of Shnei Shvilin. Okay. Now, case number two. Now, again, these are classic cases of suffix that are very different. Case number two is Shidra. It's really Shidra Gogol. It's basically the following story. If you have, there's something called Tumas Oil, right? If I have a dead body in let's say in a room, so anything that's in that room, the Tumah goes up and around, and anything in that room is Tamei, that's Tumas Oil. Okay, now, if I had a Shidra, if I had an entire spine, a complete spine in that room, so a complete spine Shidra Matam Oil. If I had a spine, complete spine here, anyone in that oil, any kalim in that oil would be Tamei, because this spreads Tumah, and anything under that tent would be tamei. However, an etzem, a bone, does not have the same din. It has to be a complete shidra, a complete spine. But if you had a bone, that wouldn't have the same din. Now, the question is, what about a shidra that's not complete? Let's say you have a spine, but it's missing vertebrae. So what's halacha? So if it's really not complete, it's not tamei. It works like a regular bone, and it's not complete. It won't make tumah. The question is, how many vertebrae have to be missing? How many vertebrae have to be missing, and then it gets donned as a bone and not a vertebrae? Okay, that's the question, right? Meaning, what makes it not a complete shidra? Again, a shidra, if it's a complete spine, it will be metame tumas olim, right? It'll make it tumas olim. If it's not a complete spine, it's like an etzem, like a bone, and it won't make tumah. Question is, how many vertebrae have to be missing to make it not a complete shidra? Okay, so here we have a machlokas between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel says chulya achas. Once it's missing one vertebrae, if you had one vertebrae missing from that shidra, it's not a complete shidra, it's not a complete spine, and it does not create tumas oil. Beis Shammai on the other hand said, no, I'm sorry. If it has missing one vertebrae, it's still a shidra. If missing two vertebrae, then it's not a shidra, then it loses into tumah. Okay? So if it's only missing one vertebrae, right? Let's assume that's the case, and we have a situation where the sidra is missing one. So here's what comes out. Comes out, and Beis Shammai says 2 chulyos have to be missing. So since only one's missing, it remains a shidra, right? So basically, this comes out of machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, where Beis Hillel says, if in a case where you're missing one vertebrae, Beis Hillel says one vertebrae, it's not a shidra. Beis Shammai says missing one vertebrae, it is a shidra. Now, what is the difference? So let's see. In regards to Tumas Oil, it makes a huge difference. Why? Because since Beis Shammai says if it's missing one vertebrae, it's still a shidra. So Beis Shammai would say it's tameh, right? And Beis Shammai is chumrah over here. On the other hand, if it's missing one vertebrae, according to Beis Hillel, it's not a shidra, and if it wouldn't make a tumah, and therefore it's a kula. So here we see a case where Beis Shammai comes out mekel because missing a vertebrae, and Beis Shammai comes out machmer because missing a vertebrae. That's a case of tumas ol. So far, so bad. But watch the flip side. What about a treifa? The halacha is if an animal is missing certain organs, it's not able to live. It's a treifa. What if its spine is not complete? If its spine is not complete, so that's a treifa. Well, what if it's only missing one vertebrae? Well, we know that's the very machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, right? Where we know Beis Hillel says if it's missing even one vertebrae, it's not a shidra. Beis Shammai said, no. It can be missing one vertebrae. It's still a shidra. Has it missing two to not be a shidra. So according to Beis Shammai, this case, it is a shidra. So when it comes to the treifa, right, if we're judging this case of the treifa, watch what happens. If it's Beis Hillel says it's not a shidra, if it's missing one vertebrae, so it means Beis Hillel comes out of chumrah because Beis Hillel says it's a treifa. Well, watch the flip side. But according to Beis Shammai, if it's missing one vertebrae, it is a shidra. So Beis Shammai comes out of kula. So here's what happens, gentlemen. We see that this halacha about missing one vertebrae, in one case it comes out a chumrah, a tameh. Another case it comes out chumrah over here. Meaning, Beis Shammai says it is a shidra, right? So in regards to tumah, Beis Shammai is the chumrah side. He's machmer. And when it comes to the treifa, he's mekel. As a flip side, Beis Hillel says missing one vertebrae, it's not a shidra. So when it comes to tumah, Beis Hillel says it's not, doesn't make tumah, it's mekel. When it comes to the treifa, he says it is a treifa. So this is a case where I'm not allowed to paskin like Beis Shammai in regards to one and Beis Hillel in regards to the other. Everyone got that?
That's the Gemara says is a classic case of Tarsa Desasri, right?
Let's see. Does everybody got the case first?
Yeah, you can't say both Mekel or both or Chomer Machmer or both.
In fact, the Gemara says if you paskin in this question, missing one vertebrae, if you in regards to one, you paskin like Beis Hillel, you know, like Beis Shammai, you're a Russia because you're burning the candle from both ends.
Was this
right?
Sanhedrin or Makos?
Really neither one. It's the Gemara in Zavachim Zion. Where is the Gemara Zion? I had it this
I
morning.
learned this.
Maybe you did. 1 second. I'll tell you in a second.
There's something in Sanhedrin.
Only because you're asking. 1 second. Let me just see. This morning I looked it up. 1 second. I have a card. What after Hakachinik? I got this here somewhere. 1 second. See, there's a plug. 1 second. This is not part of the recorded scene over here. 1 second.
It's the secret archives.
It is. If you know what's on this sheet, on this document, everything imaginable is on this document. When this loads, wait, you'll see what loads. It's unbelievable. 1 second. Let me just go. I can't. I'm going to take too much time. Forget it. All right. Anyway, I'm sorry. I apologize. I have it on one of the cards anyway. I clipped it. All right. Anyway, I believe it's Zvachim. But in any case, all right. So far, so good. So we have two cases. We have Shnei Shvilin, where apparently you could live with a contradiction, right? Meaning Shnei Shvilin. In this case, right, Ruvain, we had a body under one road, right? Here's the case, right? It was clearly a body under one road. We don't know which road. Ruvain walked on Monday. He walked on one. Tuesday walked on one road, and Shimon walked on the other road on Wednesday. If each of them comes separately, we tell Ruvain, everything you touch is tahor, and we tell Shimon everything you touch is tahor, as long as they come separately. Now there, apparently, we could live with a contradiction, even though, as Baruch said. It's a stira. Can't both. One of them is tamei, but apparently there we can live with a stira. But yet, when it comes to this other case, a shidra case, by shidra, but where the question is if it's missing one shidra, Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai have machlokas, right? If it's missing one shidra, according to Beis Hillel, it's Beis Hillel says if it's missing one shidra, it's not a shidra, and according to Beis Shammai says if it's missing one shidra, it is one vertebrae. I'm sorry, it is still a shidra. Has to be missing two. So here, there's comes out a kula and a chumrah for two different cases. Here, you can't burn the candle both sides. You can't paskin in one case like Beis Hillel and the other like Beis Shammai.
Rabbi, wouldn't it be the halacha be even if it wasn't Reuven and Shimon, even if it was Reuven coming in twice, it would also be the same halacha?
Yes, it would be a different time if he was tahor in between. If he went to
Tuesday and then Tuesday night he asks the question, then he goes Wednesday, the other roll, the Wednesday night comes out.
No, he had to go to the mikveh in between. If he went to the mikveh in between, yes.
He has to go to the mikveh in between?
Yes, otherwise he'd be the same as two guys coming at the same time. If he went in between.
Maybe the cases aren't comparable at all, though, right? Meaning
maybe not, but I don't know anything. So far, these are just classic cases, and the Kilush Yaakov is going to explain them to us, and then we're going to understand them.
I'm saying even looking at them stam, it's a pretty pashut chiluk. Like they don't.
What?
Is it possible though? Martin,
one second, let him finish, please. Yeah.
Like, first glance is just like when you have three pieces of meat, right? And you go by rove. There's even a mandam where it says you can eat all three pieces of meat. Here, we're not even doing that. When you paskin, the first one's kosher. Could be you're wrong, could be not. And then the second one, it could be that the first one was the not kosher one. So it's always a suffix. The second case, you paskin, this is considered a bone, a sidra. Once this is a sidra for you for the rest of your life. Otherwise, you're rushing, you're just looking for kulas. The other case, though, could be the other one. The first one was down. That's a normal thing when you go by rove and stuff like that. In Stam Limud.
I cannot disagree with you. I cannot disagree with you. But look, we're going to read the stipler anyway, because he's going to explain it to us even more clearly, and that's going to help us immensely understand Rabbeinu Tam. So, yes, Martin, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to jump in and sound stupid.
Okay.
Isn't it at all possible that Beis Hillel can actually say that when it comes to Tumah, you need to have just one missing in order to say that it's not a complete
spine,
whatever it is, okay?
Right.
However, when it comes to kashrus, we look and we say that somehow, according to Beis Hillel.
But Hamdi, we know he doesn't. We know Beis Hillel says for both cases, if it's missing one vertebrae, it's not a spine.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Beis Hillel holds. And Beis Shammai holds the opposite. And Beis Shammai holds for both cases, Tumah and Treifa, if it's missing one vertebrae, it's still a spine. So in Beis Hillel's world, he says if it's missing one vertebrae, it's not a spine. And he consistently says by Tumah, it doesn't make Tumah. And by the animal, it makes a Treifa. In Beis Shammai's world, he says that if it's missing one vertebrae, it's still a spine. In terms of Tumah, it makes Tumah. In terms of the animal, it's not a treifa. What someone wants to do is use both opinions, mix them up. In regards to the Tumah, I'm going to say I hold the Mekel side, I hold like Beis Hillel. In regards to the treifa, I would use Mekel side, I hold like Beis Shammai.
Yeah, can't do that. Okay.
Right, that's cheating. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's start the Kilush Yaakov and let's see what he says. Okay, so let's begin. Basically, one second. Actually, let me read his shaila because that'll make us easier for us to understand what he's talking about, right? And the question of davening from Plaga Mincha and onward, and a Savik Derabanan by two things that contradict each other. By Savik Derabanan. Oh, did you hear those words? By Savik Derabanan Tarti the Sasri. Elnatin, you hear those words? All right, let's go on. The Cholze beplukte the Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabbanan. Dav Chavzayim. I'm saying Dav Chavzayim beplukte the Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabbanan le'inyan zman tfilas mincha. In regards to the issue of tfilas mincha, the Rabbi Yehuda is mana ad plaga mincha. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you daven the last time you daven mincha is plaga mincha. And before big Gemara, the Rabbi Yehuda misham ve'elach yochel spal arvis. And it seems to be it's clear from the Gemara. I don't know how clear it is because Rabbeinu Tam has to bring a proof to it, but fine. And it's clear from the Gemara that from there, I'm sorry, I apologize. From there on in, you're allowed to daven Mariv. We want to try to prove that halach like Rabbi Yehuda, because Rav davened Erev Shabbos, he davened Mariv when it was still light, before it says. Ayin Sham, as we see over there. Maskinan, and we conclude Hashdad La'idma Hilchas Lo Kamar, since we can't prove either Rabbi Yehuda or the Rabbanan right, Davikamar of it, do either one is fine. All right, so basically, we've seen this already, right? Rabbi Yehuda holds Zman Mincha goes only until Plag. This is the last time to dam Mincha. After Mincha, I'm so sorry about that. I keep jumping. After Mincha, Rabbi Yehuda holds you can two things. Gemara says number one, you can dam Mariv over here, and number two, Tosafos says even you're allowed to say Shema over here. Good. Now, but Tosafos Reish Mechilton Kosu Das Rabbeinu Tam. Tosafos said in the name of Rabbeinu Tam Zal Chi Heichi Rabbi Yehuda Havibos Man Kilayla Inyan Tfilas Arvis. Just like Rabbi Yehuda holds in regard that time after Plag Mincha is Laila in terms of Mariv. Hachanam in Kriya Shema Berchaseh. So too in regards to Shema and its brachas, the Yotzim Mashakorin we Plag Mincha, and you're allowed to Yotze the mitzvah of Shema when you read after Plag Mincha. Machlokas Gedola Barishonim Zal, and is a major machlokas amongst Rishonim. Okay, good. Vayin Shagasari Simon Gimel Ven Kam Makom Laharich. We don't have time for that now. Okay, Vakasa Tosas. The Ha'achit Samchinan. Tosas is right. We're so much on Rabbi Yehuda, and that's why we daven Mariv early, and that's a main Shema. And we come from Kasha. Nevertheless, Rabbeinu Tam left with a shverkeit that what Davi Ketrei Kuli to Sasrina Dodi, because it comes out that it's two kulas that are associated that literally contradict each other. Because even though yes, it's true, we many times down Mariv after Plag, and that's how we Yotze Shema. But there are also many times when we'll down Mincha after Plag. That's because the Pasuk Rabban, the Savri the Akate Zman Mincha holds Zman Mincha, right? Meaning again, according to Rabbi Yehuda, Zman Mincha on a Plag, and the reason why Tos said you're allowed to read Krishma is because we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, and since the last time to dam Mincha is Plag, after that you dam Mariv, and now dam Mariv even Yotze Krishma, says Rabbeinu Tam. Okay, and now the problem is Rabbeinu Tam has a problem that many times we also dam Mincha you have to hear. The only way you put dam Mincha over here is if you're passing like the Rabbanan, right? The Rabbanan said you can dam Mincha during this time period, so it's tired to Sasri. It's a contradiction. All right, so far that was just a recap. Everything's good, right? Good. Let's proceed. But Rosh Zal Hosif, the Rosh added something else in the Zavikamo Shidra Gogoles. And the Rosh says not only does he say it's tar to the Sasri, it's two contradictory opinions. He says it's like the case of Shidra Gogoles. Damrina Chavdale, the Osa Mikuli Besham, Mikuli Besilo, Russia. And we say over there that if you do like here's a Mishnah Torah, wrong Mishnah, I'm sorry, wrong. I got a jumpy mouse over here. The Rosh says, oh gosh, one second, where'd it go? Right. Russia, right? The Rosh says that if you, this is one of the Gemara says that this is one of the cases, if you do a kula of Beishama and a kula of Beisil, meaning by Shidra, you consider Russia because you're burning the candle on both ends. Okay, that's how the Rosh teaches it, that this case of davening mincha, meaning if you're going to pull this trick, where sometimes you daven Mariv and you have to say Shema over here because you're passing like Rabbi Yehuda, and sometimes you daven mincha over here because you say you're passing like the Rabbanan. Tosa says Tatir Sasri. The Rosh says this is a case of Gilgolis, where if you do this, you call it Russia. However, says the Kil Shakov, Matzasi b'Meiri Zal b'Tel Tzil Shachar in Perik Tzil Shachar b'Sugyah Zu Shividas Omrim She'ev Shel Espalo b'Yom Echa Mincha B'Lag Mincha L'Mala b'Yom Echa Tzilas Arvis. The Meiri brings these. There are some people who say that you can't daven one day Mincha after Plag, and another day Mariv after Plag. Bosaman David Ketatzi Sasri, because they call it a Tatir Sasri. Says the Meiri, no. Because Meiri Zal the Eino Niskam Klal, he doesn't agree whatsoever to that opinion. Why? The Dafka B'Yom Echad Eino Roy Let's Palo Tfilas Mincha Begam Tfilas Arv Bosas Man Plag Mincha. If it's one day, I agree with you. To daven Mincha after Plag and Mariv after Plag in that same time period, that I agree. That's wrong. Al Miyom Liyom Ein Lachosh Klal. From one day to another, there's no problem whatsoever. Ein Kamishim Tatir Sasri, not even Tatir Sasri. Why? Because the Rabbanan lo chashin lazeh. Because on rabbinic questions, we're not choshes. Is reisa kishnei shvilim. It's like the case of shnei shvilin. Echad tar ve'echad tami v'alchu bo b'nei adam. Two people walked in it. Each one asks at different times, and the mitaron l'kol chad. We each one we say is Torah. And so to even one man, hey, the Taurus, provided he went into the mikveh, he matar him. He's a Vishina. In other words, he went on one, and we passed in Torah. He's a Vishina. He got the sprinkling, and he went on, meaning Vishina v'tovel, and he was tovel. Then halach b'shein, meaning he was Torah in the middle. Torah's loshim kam derishonis elel tzulis. Okay, we don't. This is a detail we don't need, but it's the mission in Torah's. Hey, okay, so far so good. So basically, we have almost what sounds like a machlokas between the Rush and the Meiri. How you view this case of sometimes davening mincha after here, sometimes davening marav after here, right? Meaning basically Tos's problem. Tos's problem is that how do we daven marav sometimes like after plag, sometimes mincha. Tos called tati sasri. The Rush says it's like the case of the shirva gogolis, and you're a Rush if you do it. And the Meiri says no. What are you talking about? It's not at all. It's like Shnei Shvilim, and there's nothing wrong with it.
How do you know the Rush wasn't talking about Yom Echad?
He didn't say Yom Echad. Tosa didn't say it, and the Rush didn't say it. So there's no reason to assume they're talking in that case. Good. So apparently we have like a totally different worldview. In other words, meaning the Rush calls it a case of Shidra, like you're a Rush if you do this. Meiri says not a Rush at all. What are you hacking a Chainik? It's simply Shnei Shvilim. You're allowed to, if this guy, if Reuven comes in and says the Torah, we say yes. Next day Shimon comes in, we say yes. So just like over there, so it's over here. It's not a problem. The Meiri says not a problem, and the Rush says you're a Russia. Like it's simply a different.
If we tell him that he has to have a sprinkling in between the two times he walks down the path, the same guy. What's the sushtel here to our case between when Tuesday night does like one, Wednesday night does like another?
Don't confuse. So use two guys. Keep it simple. Two guys. It's a perfect sushtel.
No, I'm saying I do it. On Tuesday night I daven before and after plag mincha, and Wednesday night I can daven after plag both. That's no one telling me. Meiri's not telling me difference. Tell me for myself. For me, the halacha. I can do it. He tells me. I said, Meiri, what can I do? Tuesday night, I want to daven the minyan, mincha before plag, marav after plag. Wednesday night, I'm going to do a mincha after plag and marav after seis.
Good.
Meiri would say, Baruch Hashem, you're doing great. Just daven with the minyan.
Right.
So it's this, why isn't that the same as the guy who walked the both paths not with sprinkling?
Okay.
One of those should be wrong.
Okay, it makes you happy, you're fine. No, if the guy walks, he's fine. If the guy walks and sprinkles in between, he's both a tahor.
When we did the sprinkling, he's shkoyach. That's cheating half the thing. It's just in case he was tamei, he was matahar.
No, because Mamanavshach, certainly some of the stuff he touched has to be tamei, because if we know that the body on the one road, he walked on this road, and then he was tar, and he walked on the other road. Mamanavshach, one thing for sure. This guy walked on this road and that road, and some of the stuff he touched is tamei.
Yeah, we say the second road. I'll tell you, really, the first one was tamei, but you got the sprinkling done, so now you're fine.
No, but he touched things. He touched things and made them tamei if he's tamei.
I mean, besides for him, he touched other things.
Yeah, he touched things. We want to know, are they tamei? Do you have to break the kalim? Do you have to throw them out? Whatever. Right?
So, I say,
no, we don't do it. Why? Because this one is
Why
tar.
does he have to get sprinkling in between? Why for himself?
Otherwise, it's the same case as if two guys come b'vas achas. It's a technical issue.
It's the same thing about the person davening Tuesday night, the person davening Wednesday night. It's the same person. I'm one person.
Binyamin Pace, we're going to get caught on details. Trust me, you look it through. It's a mission Taras. Hey, looking Gimel and Zion and Parakeh, you'll see it's really very clear. It's not kedai to hack on it. I don't think.
No, I'm saying as far as the person themselves having to be doing the same thing that's Tarsas.
Right. So again, two people who ask separately are 100% tar. One guy, if he went on one road and then was mataher and then went on a second road, he's also everything he touched from both roads after oral tar. Why? Because we say each one is a suffix, each one is fine. So the Meiri says, so too, on Monday night, you want to dive in, you want to dive Marv after plug, good. Tuesday night, you want to dive Mincha after plug, good. No problem. Just like Shnei Shvilin. The Rosh is really crazy, like Shidra. You call it Russia. You're like Beishamai using burning the candle both ends. You're passing like Beishamai Beisil. You're a Russia. Now clearly they have a different worldview. They have a different way of viewing this case, right? So far so bad, right? Okay. Now comes the stipend is going to explain to us. In a Rosh the Rosh says proves from that we're not allowed to do a Tati Sasi, meaning because of this, the Rosh drops Rebbeinu of Tam. The Meiri said, no, we don't care about Tati Sasi, and Rebbeinu Tam's right. Unless they come together, Mishnei Shvilin, because he proved from Mishnei Shvilin. It's worthy to explain why the Rosh compares our case of Mincha and Marav after Plag to the case of Shidra, and the Meiri compares it to Shnei Shvilin. So we're gonna understand this. We're good? So far so good? Hello, we're together? No? Well, here comes an honest man is hard to find. I'm glad you're honest.
Thank you. So we're having our night Seder here in Dallas, so it's a little loud. I might need to go to another room.
Okay. Jump to another room. All right. Anyway, now the Kilush Yaakov is going to explain to us why it is that the Rosh compares our case to Shidra, and the Meiri compares our case to Shnei Shvilin. When we code them, before I do this, Baruch, here's your point. He says, and before I explain why the Rosh learns one way and the Meiri learns the other, I want to explain these issues themselves. Hadigabi Shidra Gogolis Chashin Tartir Sasre. And why is it? Let's deal with this issue itself. Forget the comparison to Mincha Marv. Let's deal with the case itself. Why is it that by case of Shidra, Tartir Sasre is poison, or Russia? Beishil no Chashinan. And by Beishil we don't care. Vechilaku Pashut. The chilik is Pashut. That what? The Gabi Safik Tum B'Shus Harabim Harachmanatira. It's a suffix. When you're dealing with a question of Safik Tum B'Shus Harabim, the Torah says Safik Tum B'Shus Harabim is Tar. V'chol Pam Shibalafenenu. Anytime it comes in front of us, suffix Yesh Tar. Anytime a suffix comes in front of us with Tar. Ein Zestir. It's not a contradiction. Mashatira Etzmol from that which we matar yesterday. As a whole B'Sheni. The Gamhu a suffix. Zer Kasu. The Tar is a suffix. The Zer is a Kasu. And that when you have a suffix, you say it's mutter. But tell me the person the two psak are not a contradiction at all. Kim Torah dash name suffix the suffix here Torah. All right, let's get the case again. Here's Shnei Shvilin. We got this bones. This guy was buried under one road, right? Now here he's buried under one road, and we don't know which road it is. Now on Tuesday rather, Reuven walked on this road, and on Wednesday Shimon walked on this road. Now, why is it that we say that when each of them come in separately that it's tar? It's really quite simple, because the suffix tum rishus rabim is suffix tar. Anytime you have a suffix tum in rishus rabim, the halacha is it's tar. So if you have a suffix, I don't know, I don't know, I touched something, I didn't touch something, it is tum, it's not, I don't know. If it's in rishus rabim, it's seiko tar. So watch what happens. On Tuesday, when this guy walked on the first road, we have a suffix. We don't know. Reuven walked on this road, right? But we don't know. Is the bones buried under this road or that road? We don't know. So it's a suffix tuma, and it's in Rishus Harabim. Are we saying Vadei Reuven is tahar? This is the key point, gentlemen. Are we saying Vadei Reuven is tahar?
No.
Not at all. We're saying he's a suffix, and the rule of a suffix tum Rishus Harabim is seikotar. So that's not a contradiction at all to the next day. When Shimon walks on this road, are we saying Vadei that he's tahar? Not at all. All we're saying is a suffix. So both these sveikas are consistent. You can make him tahar because you're not sure it's a suffix. You can make him tahar because you're not sure it's a suffix, because you haven't paskined either case. You didn't say Vadei, I know for a fact Shimon walked on the right road. I know for a fact Reuven walked on the right. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know.
If they come together. If they come together, why tell them Tommy?
Then I know it is definitely for sure. There's you can't say Suffolk Tom because it's a utter contradiction. Mineo Bay.
No, each guy. You're both Suffolk. Both
When both questions are in front of you, it's no longer Suffolk. There's Vadei Tuma. There's Vad. One thing for sure we know that somebody was Tummy. There's no Suffolk anymore. There's Vadei. Something was Tummy. When you bring the two together, it's no longer a suffix, it's vade. I don't know, you or you, I don't know, but one thing for sure, something is tummy over here. Somebody, but
one of you is tummy. So on each one you say, am I the one that's tummy? Well, suffix tummy, you're tahar. Are you the one that's tummy? I'm suffix tummy, you're tahar.
Okay, so this is, and the other side is what?
They're both tummy. They should both be tummy, be suffix. Which is what we're saying. Apparently.
Why? What's the other side? Why should they be tummy? Because when they come together at the same time,
there's vadei tuma there.
Exactly. One thing for sure is vadei tuma. You, I don't know, but vadei tuma. So I can't tell you it's mutter. Now we'll see whether that's the rabbanan, the rice. I don't know. Well, that's a good question, but the point is it's too much of a contradiction. But each one coming separately, I'm not saying Shimon vadei is tar, and I'm not saying Ruvain is vadei tar. I don't know. But each one is a suffix, and the rule of a suffix is a suffix to Mishas or Rab is tar. So each one, there's no contradiction between the two psak. If I were telling you, I know for a fact Shimon is tar, he walked on the right road, then it'd be a contradiction to then say the next day, Ruvain is tar. But I didn't say that. I said I don't know, and I don't know by suffix to Mishas or Rab is tar. So those two, there's no contradiction between saying Ruvain is suffix and therefore tar, and Shimon is suffix and therefore tar, because like I said, they're both masupik. I don't know. So the rule is suffix to which is Rab and tar. All right, that's why Shnei Shvil makes sense. So far, so good. Okay, now, but watch this. But Aval Amru Gabi plugged to the Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. See, the Gemara was talking about. Let me see if I can find that card. So I can find that Gemara. 1 second. Let me just see if it's here. I put it all the way at the end somewhere. It's lost. Is this it over here? No. I lost it. All right, I'll find it later. In any case, but so now let's deal with the opposite though. The Gemara is talking about Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel machlokas before the Baskol and after the Baskol, meaning the Baskol came out in Paskin. But before that, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel had many machlokas about many issues. And by machlokas in Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, the Kohen Baskol harotz lasos kedivrei Beis Shammai oseh. If you wanted to do like Beis Shammai, you're allowed to do. Harotz lasos kedivrei Beis Hillel oseh. If you want to do like Beis Hillel, you could do it. Ef shalom mitam safek yochel hakel. You can't possibly say in that case you could be makel. It's because of a suffix you could do like Beis Shammai, or a suffix you could do like Beis Hillel. Why? That's Medina Daraisa arena. We're dealing with Daraisas. Mavur beper kamar mesachet avodah zara, and we know from first paragraph of Zara, Dav Zayin, the plukta to Tanai b'shel Torah halacha chachomer. By a suffix Daraisa, you have to be machmer. Suffix Daraisa l'chumra. Ayin sham. For Amar Rit Zel and beper kamar yivomas daf yudalad bahad deflei baskal rotz las g'divrei Shammai oseh. There is Vayasakasha. How could it be? Gemara Yevamah says before the Baskol, if you want to do like Beis Shammai, you're allowed to. It's a suffix derai, so you have to go l'chumra. Mavar demari be'osa chaticha atzma shalachal demar o demar ayin sham. The Ritva answers that we're talking on one piece of meat, and that piece of meat was paskined by either Beis Shammai or Beis Hillel. Meaning what? Meaning you had a piece of meat, and you brought this piece of meat to Beis Shammai, and Beis Shammai said kosher. In that case, if you want, you could rely on Beis Shammai, because Beis Shammai paskin this bivadoyas. On the other hand, if it went to Beis Hillel would have paskin this case is vadei treif. In any case, nira bir bahad the osachatich atzma shal Beis Shammai el Beis Hillel on that piece itself that you asked the Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. The tira and the mater yachol asos karosim. You're allowed to do like the hora. Afal pi sheyodea, even though he knows sheidach bezdin also, even though he knows the other bezdin aser. Zel nilma mikradu basal shofet asher yam bayamehem. And learn this in the pasuk uvasa el shofet asher yam bayamehem and l'chel shofet shemimecha dal chaticha shel nishal chal hora shofet vehechlet. Okay, now let's try to understand what's going on here, gentlemen. basically like this. There is a pasuk that says, do not veer off what the rabbis say to the left or to the right. And it begins with this words, Basal shofet asher b'yamehem. Go to the shofet that are in your day. And Rashi explains what that means is even the shofet is not so great as previous generations. He's the Baal Hara, he's the Psak, and you go by him. From this pasuk, I'm sorry, Yiftach V'dor, right? Kishmul V'dor, yes. Rashi doesn't quote that there, but okay, yes, but that's Gemara that says that. But in any case, so the point is that here, this is a halacha that if a shofet in your day paskins, you're allowed to rely on him. Why? Because that's the rule that you learn from the Torah. So if your posek said this piece of meat is kosher, you're allowed to eat this piece of meat, even though you know that if you took this very piece of meat to another Beis Din, that Beis Din would say it's treif. It doesn't matter because you took it to this Beis Din, and Basal Shofet Asher Mehem says you're allowed to eat it. All right. So far, so good. Good. Okay, now. V'ayin Chazon Ish Noshin Siman Kuf Lamed Daled Yevomas Stuff Yudaled. Look in the Chazon Ish and Yevomas Kasav Dudin Talmud also Pioros Rabo. So to a Talmud is allowed to rely on the psak of his Rebbe Muvak. Alpha Pisha Der Sharabim Chokim Lav, even though he knows that many people argue with his Rebbe. That's even if it's not a psak on this particular piece of meat. All right, so really quickly, what's going on here is as follows. The Chazon Ish says, if you're a Talmud of a Rebbe, then even if it wasn't a psak on a particular piece of meat, but you know your Rav Muvak, paskins this way, and Rabbim argue with him, you're allowed to rely from Basa Shofel Asher Yibamahem, you're allowed to rely on your Rebbe's psak, and that's how you hold. All right? Am I talking to myself so far? Yes. Am I alone? No? Oh, good.
I'm here with you, Rebbe.
All right, good. All right, so basically, now, gentlemen, let me ask you a question. If you're a Talmud of this Rebbe, and your Rebbe says this meat is kosher, is it a suffix kosher? Because you can't, it's a doraisa, it's tarfis. If you're not allowed, can't be a, so you have to say, my Rav paskins that this type of meat is kosher, I'm allowed to rely on it. Bivadois, it's vadai kosher, not suffix, not maybe, because it's a doraisa. It has to be vadai kosher. Now, this type of thing certainly has to be vadai because we're dealing with doraisas. That's what the Ritva answered, right? Now, and this is the case of Makomo. Anyone know what these cases are?
I think that's if you could do even not direct Okal Nefesh, like Machshir Okal Nefesh.
Right. So Machshiri Mila, right? The halacha is Mila is Docha Shabbos, right? And the question is, what about Machshiri Mila? Let's say,
right, Mila.
Yeah. So let's say if I have a Zamel, I do Mila. But let's say I don't have any Zamel. Or my Zamel is rough. It can't do Mila. So Rebbe Elazar holds that you could do even Hechsher Mila as Docha. Therefore, in his place, they used to prepare coals, to basically prepare coal to heat down the metal to make any zomel, meaning they mold them a knife on Shabbos, because he holds not only is Mila Docha Shabbos, but even Hechsher for Mila is Docha Shabbos. But other Rabbanim argue because they hold only Mila is Docha, not Hechsher. But the point is, where he lived, they used to cut down wood to make coals to make a zomel on Shabbos. Now that they eat basa b'chalav. Point being, this is what the Chazon Ish is saying. If your Rav Muvak holds something, you're allowed to say that's my shita. I rely on him, even though Rabbim argue. By the way, that halacha, everyone argues with Rebbe Elazar. Nevertheless, in his place, he used to do it. Why? Because he was a Rav Muvak over there. But this is the point: is it misafek?
Not a suffix.
Not a suffix at all. You rely on him totally. He paskins at Shaila, and it's bivadois. Absolutely good. Now watch what happens. Nira Shumidin el Shofet. This comes from the din of Basal Shofet. The Gabi Tamidi Harav Avirav Didu at Shofet should be on him. In regards to that Rav, that Talmud to the Rav, that Rav is the Shofet of the days. Valkein Pasuk calls man eno klal mishum davzin b'seikel hakel. This is not because you go seikel hakel. The other Rav, the right is seikel l'chumra. If it was a Shiur Daraisa, you have to go l'chumra. Plug the Tanai v'Amarai b'shel Torah holchin la'achmir. You can never say it's misafik because we're dealing with Daraisas, and any machlokas Tanaim or Maraim in a Daraisa we go l'achmir. Eluhete b'Torah sachra. Rather, it's a psak. L'gabi achaticha shechal alav hara. In regard to either the piece that the psak falls on. Chen l'gabi talmidei harav muvak chalaras rabam b'Torah's heter vadai. The point is, it's a heter vadai. It's achra. We paskin. This is kosher totally. Anyone here where he's headed with this?
Yeah, but Tuma's deraisa though, right?
Suffolk Tuma.
The din of Suffolk Tuma is mikol, so therefore it's the similar to the Rabbanan.
That's correct, but we can rely on that concept. Basically, what the Kilish Yaakov is saying. Here's the punchline: when you're dealing with the Rabbanans, well, let me not give away the punchline. Let him say it. Mela Pashat. When you're dealing with this type of sak of vadai, you have tatisasi usher. It's forbidden. The vadai shechamim hu shelo kedin. One of them is vadai not kedin. Mishamachavi shidru gagolas usher. Dachras het lebeis tadim yev sheklal. You can't have it come that way, right? By this case of shidra, you can't be makel like Beis Hillel and makel like Beis Shammai, because when you say you makel in one case, it's because you paskin vadai like Beis Shammai. And when you say you make in another case, because you paskin vadai like Beis Hillel, that is a total contradiction. All right, so someone plug it in. Where's he headed now? Someone tell me the punchline.
Same thing be true to say l'chumra in both cases? Because someone say I don't want to show my passing lights. I'm going to say l'chumra.
He's a fool. Then he's a fool.
Calls him a fool, right? So
he's not a Russia. He's not a Russia. He's a fool. All right. So anyone know where is this Kilish Yaakov heading? What's he saying?
He's headed where you hold by mincha, by plag on mincha, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that from that point on, you can daven Maariv,
right?
And that's vadai, and he's holding from the Rabbanon that until the end of the day, you can still daven mincha, and that both of them are vadai. So from day to day, you can go from one way to the other.
Okay, so let's just so we understand what's going on here. There's a meiri and a rush, right? Yeah. Meaning we have this machlokes about this case of davening Maariv have to plug and mincha have to plug. The rush says, "Oh, that's a case of shidra and chas v'sholom. It's you can't do it. He drops it in a time like a hot potato." The meiri says, "What are you talking about? It's shnei shvilin. I have no problem with the contradiction. It's just like shnei shvilin." Now what the Stipler has done for us, he's explained to us what the difference between shidra and shnei shvilin is. Why is it that by shnei shvilin you can live with the contradiction and by shidra you cannot? Now Elnaton said this was easy and pashut, and we don't even need the Stipler. I don't think it's easy and simple, but it is clear, and that's as follows.
Rush paskins the tefillas midoraisa.
You what?
It would sound like he's trying to explain. They say that the Rush paskins tefillah midoraisa, and the Meiri holds the tefillas midorabanan.
So nobody, no one holds mani tefillah is doraisa. No one holds that.
Then how do you the Rush then?
No, that's what he's saying. Yeah, say what?
I was saying the split seemed a little partial. The way he set it up, it seems to be a little way more complicated. But it sounds like he's basically saying that we're missing the point of the machlokas between the Rush and the Meiri. Really, the machlokas is when the Gemara didn't give us a psak. Did that mean that like the Meiri who says therefore it's a suffix and therefore you would go lakula, or does that mean that now you have to figure out what your Rebbe Muvak is, and that would be the Rush?
Correct. Exactly. So again, basically what the Meiri is saying is Avi Kamar. Listen, we can't prove whether Yehuda's right or Rabban's right. So do whatever you want. It's like Shnei Shvilin, it's a suffix. In a suffix, you can do what you want. But the Rush says what the Gemara was saying was you have a right to say my Rebbe holds this way, Kimle, but you got to pick one side. Now, how? Okay, but what did the Stipler do though? I got that, but how does that plug in?
The Meiri's right. It's Rabbanan and the Meiri's right. How do we understand the Rush? I understand if it's Rabbanan.
I understand. Yeah, what does Stipler do? I guess you're right.
Or he's asking how it plugs into if you're davening using the Zmanim on different days. Is that what Rabbi means?
I mean, he explained. He wants to explain to us why the Rosh views it one way, the Miri views it another way. Now, so far, I mean, he explained to us very nicely the difference between Shnei Shvilin and Shidra, but we don't see how this plugs in at all, right? We don't know what this got, how this helps us at all understand the Miri and the Rosh. I mean, listen, it's clear that the Rosh learns Shidra, clear that Miri learns Shnei Shvilin. Why they learn this way, why he learned that way, I don't know. So far, I don't understand anything, right?
But if the Rosh is talking about because of the fact you say Shema and Mariv, and therefore that is D'oraisa?
That is definitely true. That is definitely true.
So
And the
then
Miri
you look at
says Shema is D'Rabbanan.
What?
And what does the Miri say?
No, the Miri is not talking about that mitzvah. He's only talking about the tefillah.
Miri and the Rosh are both talking about the same issue, davening Marav at different times, right? All right, so let's let the disciple finish. Or maybe I should let this for homework. Maybe we should stop here. You know what? We're up to slide 10. For homework, I want you guys to read now the rest of the stipler and figure out what the stipler is saying, what he does with this, and how this helps us understand the machlokas between
Is that in the packet?
I think so. Well, I split it up in, yeah.
I only went to page 9.
Do you have numbers on it?
Yeah,
What number does it have on it?
9.
I have
Not-
time.
You got the cheap version. You have to upgrade your membership. Michael, you
Michael,
got to get the premium membership where you get all of them.
It was 12 pages.
I have till 11. I got till number 11 on my. And Jake, you have until 11 too?
Yeah.
See, Jake's a premium member. That's it. Michael, you got to step up to the plate. Let's go.
Wow. Look at that happen.
It's only $9.99 a month.
but if you call in the next 15 minutes, get a deal.
That's right.
3 payments of.
Yeah.
Are they on the website? Because I still have a problem.
I'll put it back again on the WhatsApp, and I'll make sure it's on the. I don't remember if I put it on the.
I
online.
texted it to myself earlier.
I'll repost it. But guys, let's stop it. This is a good point to stop because I think we have a lot of information here. What I'd like you to do is read, the rest of Kilish Yaakov and see where he's going with this, and I'll let you in a little clue. I'm going to use the Kilish Yaakov, but not exactly as he wants us to use him. Some ulterior motives here, clearly. All right.
Oh, it's there. My printer malfunctioned.
All right, good. All right, so read please 10 and 11. And again, the goal here is to figure out what is the stipler doing. Again, what the Kilish Yaakov is trying to do, apparently, he's trying to explain to us the Miri and the Rosh. And why does the Rosh view it as Shidra? And the Miri, why does he view it as Shnei Shvilim? So what he did so far was he explained to us very clearly the two cases. We now understand Shnei Shvilin, we understand it logically. We also understand Shidra, we understand it logically. But how does that help us with the Rosh and the Miri? That we don't understand. So that we'll leave for scenes of coming attraction. All right?
That was a lot.
There was a lot. Yeah, it was some also a lot.
Let me ask you this, Rebbe.
Yes.
We hold that Kriya Shema is the Oraisa,
Yes.
but Mariv is the Rabbanan.
That is correct. You're onto something, Martin. That is right. Yes. And therefore what?
And therefore the davening is, you're able to, according to what he said initially, where he said but the Rabbanan is different than the Oraisa. He said that in the opening
Right.
Statement.
Right.
And that you can kind of hop around a little bit.
Yep.
However, for the Oraisa, you can't. So the question becomes, how do you manipulate Kriya Shema? And the answer to that is, I think, what every Rav says, make sure you daven Kriya Shema after Tzeitz.
Now, you're
If
right.
you're
But we're talking Rabbeinu Tam, who says you Yotze Kriya Shema then. And this apparently the Machlokas, what the Torah says is Tarti de Sasri, and how you understand the Tati Sasi, the Machlokes the Meiri, and the Rush. And we're trying to understand why they view it differently, how they view it. Why does one say it's not a Meiri says not a problem at all? It's like Shnei Shvilim. The Rush says Chas Shalom. It's a terrible contradiction. It would be a Russia if you rely on that. He drops Rabbeinu Tam for that reason. So the question is why one views it, why one views it one way, why one views it the other, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, because of how they hold the way you say Kriya Shema. Has to be
something in there. Something in there. All right. Read 10, 11. We'll pick up back Mitzvah Hashem on Thursday night.
Right.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Ravi.
Okay, sure. Okay, go ahead.
Thanks for the chizuk last night.
Oh, good.
That was awesome.
Anyone
Yes.
wants to repost
By the way,
yeah.
I sent it over to a very close friend of mine who unfortunately is a historian.
Yes.
And he says, wait a minute, Iran tried to kill us. Their flag is hanging in front of the United Nations. So I said, Iran, I didn't know they tried to kill us.
Well, one second, they kicked us out. You mean after the Shah? One second. No, I said, find me a flag that didn't kill us. That didn't try. They expelled after the Shah. They kicked us out. I said, find me a flag that didn't kill. Oh, you mean because now the Khomeini, once Khomeini took power, they didn't change the flag, did they? I don't think they did.
That's what he was saying, that it's the same flag.
Same
so
flag.
I said, you know what? I said to him, it could always be one off, you know? It's like Gavachia.
Yeah, it was more of a mushal than but around, I mean, all right, I don't know. All right, anyway.
It's also sometimes very interesting, I guess, connect that to what I was really talking about the Shmuz, that now the first time in 3,000 years that they're trying to get the languages to be the same using the United Nations. What's their whole toelis? Their whole toelis is to go after Klal Yisrael.
Yeah, right. Very interesting. I hear.
They're all against Avram. They're against Avram, and now that they're finally on the same page because they're all translating each other's language, what's their whole thing they're trying to do? They're trying to go against Klal Yisrael.
I hear you.
I'm very concerned about one thing that we learned, from Rebbe, through the davening. We say, the first bracha, Kriya Shema. I'm sorry, in Shmona Esrei and Avos, Baruch Atah Hashem Mogein Avraham, and I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. We're saying that the Yishmaelim, they are also
Yitzchak Yikara L'cha Zara. Hashem says to Avram, Yitzchak, it's not Yishmael. Yitzchak is your lineage. Ki Yitzchak Yikara L'cha Zara. That was what Hashem said by right. Remember when Hashem said to Avram, don't worry about it. Anochi Lechariri. So Avram says, no. Hashem says, Ki Yitzchak Yikar L'cha Zara. Yitzchak is going to be a child. It's not going to be through Yishmael. You're going to have a child, Yitzchak, and he's going to be the future. And that's the Mogen Avraham. It does not go on Yishmael. It's only on Yitzchak. Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. Good.
Yeah. All right. Believe me, when they say Al Akva, they are not referring to Lekei Avram, the God of, believe me, that's their Avodah Zarah, whatever. Okay, good. Okay.
Thank you. Okay.